Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome to another edition of the 1901 podcast. I'm Ken Rashad, joined by our very own Thomas Griff, former G-Man and Grambling great. And unfortunately, we have to do this live stream after another loss, a consecutive loss. A loss that I'm going to just be honest with you guys, one that I believe is literally a historic embarrassment for a number of reasons. Now, I've watched a lot of Grambling football in my days, and there have been some bad losses. There have been some embarrassing losses. Things happen, life happens, but this particular loss, given all of the factors in play, and I had to think about it. I said, there was that bad season, which involved the boycott and so forth. That was an embarrassment, but that entire season was an embarrassment. It was just a bad team, and it was just multiple coaches, and okay, we accept that. But in this particular instance, given everything that we that led to this point, I had to think about it. I said, yes, this is literally one of the worst losses, or the most embarrassed, one of the most embarrassed. Then I thought about it, I said, but no, this is a historic embarrassment. This is probably the worst loss in the history of Grambling football. I really do believe that. This is a Grambling team that I think I think we all can at least agree, Griff, and feel free to disagree with me, but I think we can say there is some talent on this team. And it would be one thing if you had a team that just didn't have any talent, but that is not the case here. This was a team that was going in 4-4 in the season, had just had a real bad loss to Texas Southern. And that was kind of embarrassing. But when you put in considerations, the factors involved in that game, Miles Crawley injured. Dale J. Bailey comes in after literally having no time to play, to prepare, comes in and does a yeoman's job of at least keeping the team in, given the little experience or the few reps that he had preparing for that game. You fast forward to this game with Bethune-Cookman, a Bethune-Cookman team that entered Saturday's game 1-7, whose lone win had come against a winless Mississippi Valley State team. And I had told folks, mathematically, there are a lot of things that have to happen in order for us to stay optimistic about the rest of the season as it relates to, just the semblance of trying to compete for, or to stay competitive, or to have hopes of being in the SWAC divisional race. And I told folks, we need Texas Southern to lose against FAMU, which happened. And we needed Alcorn State to lose against Alabama State, which happened. But it needs to be understood that we have to win. We have to win out. And on paper, you don't think you're going to lose to Bethune-Cookman. Now, granted, we've lost to the Bethune-Cookman for the last 5 years that we've played them. For whatever reason, we have a problem beating the Bethune-Cookman. But in this particular instance, you're somewhat optimistic, thinking that we can get this one. We can get this one. And then the game starts. And the first half, things aren't perfect, but given all that we knew going into this game with a very inexperienced quarterback, a freshman at that, it appeared that Eric Dooley had a game plan that looked as if it would work to his skill set and what he was capable of doing. And I say this respectfully, it was a more so let's keep it simple. Let's not try to make this too complicated. And it appeared to be working in the first half. But then something happened in the fourth quarter. And after having a 14-point lead, Bethune-Cookman literally went on scored 17 unanswered points. Grambling loses. And I'm going to tell you, not only did they lose, look, all due respect to Bethune-Cookman, you made the necessary adjustments. You saw the wrinkles. You exposed that secondary, and we saw what happened. But do know, we have mathematically eliminated from the season. From the only thing left with these remaining 3 games against Alabama State, Alabama A&M, and the Bayou Classic against Southern University, the only thing we're playing for at this point is pride. And I'll be pretty honest in saying that just the fact that we have nothing else to play for other than pride, when the fact of the matter is pride should be at the very top of the list. That should go without saying. But pride is all that you have at this point, in which at the very best, you can finish the season at 75. 75. But to the point that I was making with respect to a Bethune-Cookman team that entered this game 1-7 and who had only beaten Mississippi Valley, a winless Mississippi Valley at this point, who happens to be at the bottom of the SWAC East. It needs to be known right now, and I want to say this to all of folk, to Grand Fam, to Grambling Knights, to the players, students, and anyone else who loves dear old Grambling, but especially to Coach Mickey Joseph, Eric Dooley, and Jason Rollins. Let me just simply say this: congratulations. You have secured the bottom spot in the SWAC West. And the thing is, you don't share it with anyone. This season has been a race to the bottom. Congratulations. You are at the bottom. Griff, I've said enough. I'll let you go ahead and speak.
I would like to see Grambling play a more inspired brand of football. I would like for the coaches to call plays and to have a mentality that we have to come out and throw the kitchen sink at these teams. I don't care if we need to give other people opportunity. At this point, Ken, it's all about finding out what we got for next year, because this year is pretty much done. You are correct, my brother, when you say, okay, well, this is they can play for pride, which should be at the top of the list of accomplishments. But right now, man, we are not playing a good brand of football. In all phases, we are failing. Offensively, defensively, we're being outcoached, apparently, because teams are coming out and literally, when you allow a 1-17 to dominate you second half, that's somebody should be alarmed, and somebody should be concerned, and there should be, I'm not proposing that something's got to happen with this coaching staff. Something's got to happen with the game planning. We're just, our kids don't seem prepared. We have low execution rate. We're still, One of our touchdowns came on a special teams play. I think in the last maybe few games, we're averaging probably right at about 10 points a game. 10 points a game is not going to get it done. It's not. You know, you look at the scores, and I know we dropped a couple of games by 4 points, but you know, woulda, coulda, shoulda. What are we doing? What are we doing? We come out just offensively. We come out. We don't seem to have a variety of formations. We don't seem to execute very well. We're not blocking and then but nobody's being switched out of that lineup. They're not trying anybody new at the position. If some okay, there are two ways in which either you can say, well, this need two things needs improvement. Even it's either your strategy or it's the players. Now, which one is it? You have to make a decision that we're not going to come in. Then we get into this mold where we just throw deep every play. That's a low percentage
Okay.
pass.
Yeah. Well,
Throwing deep every other play is low percentage. Okay, where's the variety? And then we went to a two-back set, and we use Elder, who is a former Bayou Classic MVP. First play, he scored. I don't think we went back to a two-back set for the remainder of the game. Why would you not use what is working? That's what some of us alums and some of us guys that played for Grambling, we're in a state of confusion. There are guys, um, several guys, along with myself, we called the suicide hotline yesterday, trying to we, we're trying to figure out a reason to continue, to move on with our lives. Because this is, I don't, as a guy that played for Grambling State University and coached for an extended period of time, I'm not understanding what I'm seeing, Ken. And I'm just gonna leave it there. Then one other thing, the defense, we're giving up too many big plays. We become a team that we are giving up 44-yard touchdowns, and we are constantly being beat deep in coverage. And that is and it's those are chunk plays that we have to get solved. Before you and I went on air, we talked about playing cover 3, and you had made the remark, we're getting killed in cover 2. Well, guess what? That means we got to do something about it, or you got to change out the personnel and get some guys in there that you believe can carry out your game plan. It's either coaching or it's the players. It's either or.
well, I'm gonna just make this really clear, and I'm not gonna even try to hide it anymore. It ain't the kids; it's the damn coaches. And I almost wanted to reach out to you last night and say let's go live after the game, but it's probably a good thing that
Yeah.
I decided to rest on this
Yes.
because it was a chance for me to sleep on it, as well as an opportunity for me to kind of marinate on it, earlier today up until this point, because I wanted to, because if I said what I was thinking last night, I would have probably regretted saying what I was thinking
Right.
last night. So it's
Right.
probably a good thing that I didn't. But I am going to say this to Mickey Joseph, head coach, to Eric Dooley, offensive coordinator, and to Jason Rollins, defensive coordinator. Defensive coordinator. This season, better yet, but specifically the last 2 weeks, but directly last Saturday or yesterday against Bethune-Cookman. I want you coaches to know that the display of coaching that we saw from you on yesterday, and even to a large portion last Saturday against Texas Southern, your display of coaching is emblematic to the stereotype that is associated with HBCU coaches and the reasons why they're never considered for mainstream jobs when they become available. I don't regret saying that because I'm telling you now. Now I'm not gonna sit up here and paint this broad brush and saying that HBCU coaches can't coach, because we know better. But I want you guys to know that when it becomes obvious, because I say this, I'm not going to say that you're bad coaches. You know, look, you know more about the game than I do. This is what you do professionally. You get paid to do this. But I have been one who tends to defend. You know, there is this term that's being used in message boards, and it's been used in HBCU-dom about recycled coaches.
I knew you were going there.
And I've said in defense of these coaches, there's no such thing as a recycled coach. And that I'm one who believes, look, if you're going to get a coach, you want a coach with experience. You don't label an accountant as a recycled accountant. You don't label an attorney as a recycled attorney. You don't label any particular profession that requires a certain degree of experience recycled. So why do we do it with our coaches? But what we've seen the last 2 weeks out of Mickey Joseph, in particular to Eric Dooley and Coach Rollins, and someone called me, Ken, you know, these our offensive and our defensive coordinators are two former head coaches at Southern University. And you know what? They were all let go. They were both let go for a very specific reason. You guys, and so let me say this to the point being made about recycled coaches. There's no such thing as a recycled coach. I still stand by that. But I think what folks need to say is we need to stop. It's not that we need to stop hiring recycled coaches. We just need to stop hiring. We just need to stop recycling coaches who have shown you that they can't coach. You guys can take that for what it's worth.
Ken, to be honest with you, I do not understand how what we saw 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, we haven't really done anything different with our formations. We haven't done anything differently with, we said we were going to commit more. Coach Joseph said he was going to commit more to the running game, but we're still empty backfield sets, trip doubles, one back in the backfield. I don't see a true commitment to getting in an unbalanced line or committing to a 2 tight end set. We've yet to do that. We've yet to try anything differently. I literally am concerned that we're just basically, when I turn on the television and I watch like everyone else, they're doing the exact same thing they done 6 weeks ago. And I'm wondering, do they still exchange film with the opponent? Because if you exchange film, they know exactly that we're going. All you have to do to defend Grambling.
I think there's a system that the SWAC uses, that the conference uses, that allows coaches to exchange.
Okay, so guess what? All you have to do is put a safety on this on the hash, on one hash, and put another safety on the other hash, and you can defend Grambling because they're going to throw deep maybe about 60 to 70% of the time, they're trying to get over the top. Well, we don't even have the quarterback in who is the most capable of throwing a deep ball. So you would have thought that, okay,
Amen.
Dooley,
Oh boy,
okay, Dooley,
you about to
we're
get me
gonna do
started now. Yes, go ahead. Finish it. I'm sorry.
we're,
Go ahead.
we're gonna do something different this week, or we're gonna take whatever this quarterback's strengths are, we're going to try to accentuate that and try to get the ball, have more of a shorter passing game. And that's not what happened. People were contacting me, Griff, why are we still going deep I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys.
Let
I
me
look, it puzzles
we
me too.
tried to go deep when Crawley was the quarterback, and we had no success doing it when he
Because
tried.
teams have figured out that's what we're going to do 70% of the time.
So here is what let me stop there because I want to bring this up. The worst display of coaching that we saw from Eric Dooley this year took place in the last two series of the game on Saturday.
Yeah. I know where
When
you're going.
coach, seriously, and I again because I am one who tries to respect the a person's profession.
Yes.
I don't. Granted, I cover games. I'm a journalist, but yet as a person who is paid to talk about coaches, what they do or what they don't do well, I'm not going to sit up here and try to pretend that I know their jobs better than they do. But I do know enough to know that I've heard enough of folks that Eric Dooley, when he was at Prairie View, I've heard enough from folks about Eric Dooley when he was the head coach at Southern. I've seen enough for myself of him as an offensive coordinator, which this isn't the same Eric Dooley who was the offensive coach the first time around when he was with Fobbs. Okay, that's fine. But at some point, but going back to those last two series, let me tell you how bad the play calling was. Because I'm gonna issue a mea culpa because there were some who talked about Eric Dooley and his play calling earlier in the season, and I said I didn't think, and I think to a certain degree, I didn't think it was necessarily bad play calling as much as I thought it was just poor execution. I still kind of stand by that. And this is when Crawley was the coach. But the last two series, offensive series of that game yesterday, now we're down, Bethune-Cookman scores, takes the lead. We get the ball with about 4 minutes left. There's no need to rush. There's no need to go 2-minute offense. There's no need to run hurry up. I think you've got two timeouts left. And you know what you have in Bailey. And you know that what you were able to do in the first half was working. You were running the RPOs. Now, granted, there was one instance where we went for it on fourth down. We was 4th and 1, and Bailey, had the wrong read, and he probably should have given it to what's his name? 27. Can't think of his name, but anyway, he should have handed it off, but it said he decided to keep it. Didn't convert on the 4th down. Talbot.
It was a botched snap.
Was it botched?
Yeah, it was botched, and he was still holding on to it, and the running back was still holding on to it, and it was
okay. But my point is that in and of itself was not reason enough to go away from it, given what we had seen prior to that, and the success that we had. Again, keep in mind, we're talking about a quarterback who hasn't really played 2 full games this year. He came in midway through the first quarter, or midway after the game started against Texas Southern, and he played his first full game on Saturday. So given the inexperience and the lack of reps that he had, again, this is not on Bailey. And I had a conversation before we went live with one of my frat brothers who said, as far as he was concerned, the kids didn't quit. The kids didn't quit. When I tell you this is a perfect example of failure to lead, this was all on the coaches. So let's go back to those. So 4 minutes left. You're deep in Bethune-Cookman territory. There's no need to rush. But yet, for whatever reason, I don't know. I don't understand this. And it was so bad that even the announcer had to make. He goes, I don't understand what Grambling is doing. I don't understand what Dooley is doing. And you got 4 minutes left. And instead of trying to going with the RPOs, you're going deep when you didn't have to. You're literally throwing down the field, trying to get chunk plays when you didn't necessarily have to do so. And so now you go 3 and out, and now you got a punt. You're lucky to get the ball back on that final possession. You got about a minute left, and you're deep in Bethune-Cookman territory. Now you're in a situation where you need some chunk plays, because at the very least, to put yourself in a position to at least give yourself a chance, all you had to do was get in field goal range with the hopes of trying to tie in the game, knowing that you have a decent, who's probably one of the, I think it's safe to say, probably one of the better, if not the best field goal kickers in the conference. All you had to do was just give yourself a chance to get in field goal range with the hopes of tying the game. And then what do we see? Instead of going for those chunk plays that he tried to do the series before, he's throwing for the damn sticks. And you know it's bad, and you don't have to be, if you just know a little bit about the game, you don't have to be an offensive guru to know. You've got a minute left. You got, I don't even know at that point if they even had a timeout, maybe one timeout left. And you're throwing 10-yard outs. Instead of going for those chunk plays that you were trying to throw the series before, that in which at that point you didn't have any kind of evidence or anything to suggest that Bailey could complete those throws.
That's not his strength.
Or you know what? I don't even know if it's not his strength. I just don't know if he had enough time or enough reps to perfect those plays that you were trying to implement. So why are you trying to do it now when it's not even necessary? You didn't have to be a football guru to know this.
Play calling played a big role in those 2 interceptions, believe it or not. It was just the safety was sitting on the hash. He tried to force it in there to the receiver, and it got picked off. And I was confused about the play calling when we went into overtime with with Prairie View, but I was also equally concerned about the play calling when it came to Bethune-Cookman. I thought what we did first half was working. We actually went to a 2-back set where Elder was able to exploit the defense by running right up the middle, which was always strange to me while we haven't been playing him, seeing that he's one of the strongest and most experienced running backs we have. And if we say we are committed to the running game, like Coach Joseph would like to do, we need a 2-back system sometime, and we don't do it. We got the 1 back, and we only have when you have 1 back in the backfield, I mean, it diminishes what you can do sometimes from different plays. You can run counters, you can run quick traps, but when you got 1 back there, that makes that process a whole lot harder. The play calling is problematic, and a lot of alums and people that are that follow the game, this is the number 1 topic every week on social media is the play calling and what we're doing and how we're going about it. I know I consistently talk about how we needed more variety, more creative formations. When are we going to put a reverse in? If these teams are overplaying us like they do because of the 1 back set, put in a reverse, put in a halfback pass, some throwback screens. Man, there's so much we can be doing that we're not doing. And I feel like if we have the athletes, if we have great athletes like we claim to have, we should be using them to be more effective, because obviously we're not scoring. We're not scoring this year. We are not scoring. In order to win ball games, you have to score. We've got to find a way to hit the 28-point mark every week, or it's going to be a struggle, because our defense, unfortunately,
has regressed.
It has.
It has regressed from the we were actually led to believe that, you know, because at one point people were making a lot of noise about how this defense led the nation in takeaways, which was due in large part to the game against Jackson State. And this was, Coach Joseph told us how they took efforts to go through drills, and that the takeaway situation isn't something that was just it wasn't just happenstance. It was intentional because of what we do in practice. And well, that may be true, or that may have been the case then, but it hasn't been the case. This defense has regressed, in that the secondary is just flat out horrible. It is horrible. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna continue to go in, because I didn't think a whole lot of it last week when Mickey Joseph said what he said during the press conference about the referees. I said, okay, he's frustrated, and you know what? Okay, shouldn't have said it. I'm not trying to justify it, but it's not the worst thing that's happened. And so, I didn't think much of it. But when you look at the season up to this point in its entirety, when you put in consideration and make no mistake about it, I think we had 8 penalties last game. This game, because let me see what is the I got the stat. We had what was it? I'm missing it. I always over 8 penalties for 85 yards. And I think a couple of those penalties were due to personal fouls that resulted in dry. I think one of them was one of the running backs. I don't know which one. After a pretty decent running back run, we get a personal foul on that play.
Yes.
And all of that was for naught.
Yes.
They had 9 penalties last week for 105 yards.
Correct.
And at some point, and Mickey Joseph says, this is all on him. Well, make no mistake about it. Because when you are 6, 7, 8 games in a season, and you're committing penalties, 8 and 9 penalties, 10 penalties per game.
Yes.
At some point, and you can say, this is, because you hear that term, this is a very undisciplined team.
Yes.
Last year we damn near led the nation in penalties under Hugh Jackson, but that coaching staff is gone.
Right. And Kim, when you couple those penalties with a struggling offense, you take a L. You will take a L every week.
Amen. So, but to my point with the penalties, and I'm telling you guys now, Coach Joseph, at some point, this team isn't just, it's not just the team or the players or those student athletes on the team who are undisciplined. It's the coaches who are undisciplined.
Yes.
Because apparently you aren't doing anything to correct the problem, or whatever it is that you're attempting to do isn't working.
Right.
And if you're doing the exact same thing, thinking that it's going to change, well, they call that insanity.
That is insanity. Now,
but we have a coach. No, let me finish.
Okay.
We got a coach who last week got on a national press call and called BS on the officials because you couldn't control your emotions. because you couldn't control your temperament. And even though you had 2 days, because the game was on Saturday, you had time to rest about it and marinate on it on Sunday. And then you come on a call on Monday after 2 days after the game is over with, and you still so damn frustrated, you still had to call the SWAC refs on their BS as if some way, somehow that was going to change the outcome or to make things for you and your team going forward better. Only for someone in the athletic department to create a statement that I'm guessing you didn't write, but someone had to release a statement apologizing for what you said. That in itself was an undisciplined head coach. Then you come out and you blow a 14-point lead to a team that came into this game 1-7. What a game that had only been won against a team that hasn't won a game so far this year. Against two coordinators that, depending on who you talk to in various circles, will tell you, I don't know why the hell y'all hired them. But then again, this is the same Mickey Joseph who went on an interview and said, I only rock, and I'm paraphrasing here, but in essence, he was saying, I only rock with people who either had ties to Grambling, got ties to New Orleans, or who have ties to Omega Psi Phi. Well, Coach, I'm going to tell you now, you might want to get away from that.
Yes.
Because it ain't working for you.
Yes. That's true. Now,
your coaches, you included, have displayed a certain level of undiscipline, to be quite honest with you, isn't very becoming at this point.
Right. But let's take a closer look at these statistics. We have 206 passing yards, 122 rushing yards, okay, for a combined total of 328. Now, if you take away the 85 yards of in penalty yardage, we're looking at an offense averaging right at, I mean, literally, man, you erase 30 to 45% of your output with penalties. And literally, you cannot win with statistics like that. It's not possible to win when you have an offense that's barely averaging 300 yards for 4 quarters and then have the penalty yardage that we do. And when you couple that with the 2 turnovers, I mean, what are we doing? And then we come out and we don't seem to have an even flow in our offense. We're not, first half, at least we came out, we scored again, and the score was 14-0. From there, everything just seemed to fall apart, and we just couldn't maintain the dominance that we showed early on. And we seen, I've heard one person say on yesterday that we seem to play down to the competition. We don't raise our level of play. We haven't looked, we looked confident against Jackson State. We haven't looked confident like that since.
You know what? I shouldn't give this much thought, but it is something worth saying. And the Jackson State folks love to remind me of this very point, that we're so happy that we beat Jackson State that we really hadn't really focused on anything else. Now, obviously, there's no truth to that, because that Jackson State game meant nothing in the SWAC. But right. My point is, we've only had one win since that time.
Yeah,
we are literally 4-5 in the last 5 weeks.
Yes,
we've lost 4 times in the last 5 weeks.
Yes,
after starting off the season 4-1.
Yes,
or 3-1. Mickey Joseph, you got some explaining to do, bro. Because I'm gonna tell you now, man. You and your coaches, I'm just go ahead and say it. You guys are state employees, and this is a misuse of taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, we got to do better.
This
We
is a
got to
waste
play
of
better.
taxpayer dollars.
We got to play better. We have to play better. We got to, and look, we're asking the kids to have a sense of urgency. I need a coaching staff to have a sense of urgency, which means when we come out next week, I would absolutely love to see us put in some new formations and put in some new plays at this point. Or I would like to see them if players aren't executing, then I would love to see us give maybe some kids who haven't played an opportunity because we need to know what we have. Okay. And then recruit accordingly. But we're not getting it done. And you're right. We've lost 4 out of 5 games in the last 5 weeks. Something has to be done. Now, if they come out next week and they're still throwing deep and they're still not, they haven't crafted the offense in such a way that we're doing some things that might put the quarterback in a position to do well. If we're not going to get our starter back, we got to change it up, and we really do need to do some things next week because Alabama State is solid. They're a solid program, and if we come out and we don't look proficient on offense, we don't look proficient defensively, they're going to make quick work of us.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad.
Yeah, and to that point, and the reason why I say that's important, and I'm bringing up the standings here because now, granted, I don't see anybody beating Jackson State the rest of the way.
No,
But
I don't either.
But Alabama State still has something to play for. I mean, they're still in it. FAMU is kind of still in it. You know,
they're still in it.
We aren't. I want you guys to see this though. I had to bring this back up. You know, we don't. You know, typically that final spot is reserved for either teams like Texas Southern or UAPB. But no.
Yes.
It is us, and it's just us all by ourselves.
Yes. The only thing, Ken, we qualify for in the position we're in is if they come up with a bowl, if the SWAC committee comes up with a bowl game called the Toilet Bowl. If they come up with we qualify for the Toilet Bowl. That's it.
We are the Mississippi Valley of the West.
Yes, we are.
Just a few more wins.
One win. Yes. One SWAC win more than them. And that's because they have 0. We have 1. And it's we make sometimes you got to laugh to keep from crying,
from crying because that's
it's not good. Just looking at this stat, standings that you've posted, it does not look good. I mean, Texas Southern is better than us statistically. Arkansas Pine Bluff, although we were able, they have 2 SWAC wins. We have 1.
Look, we have so far we have lost to every single SWAC West opponent we've played.
Yes,
we've only got 1 left.
Yes,
that's Southern, who is atop the top, who's first place right now, SWAC West.
Yes.
Now, I based upon what I've seen, I got a feeling they're going to probably screw it up. Something tells me, and this is a very realistic possibility, that Alcorn State could still represent the West because Southern could really screw this thing up. They still have to play us, and if we're playing for pride, and it's the Bayou Classic, and we all know anything can happen in the Bayou Classic.
Yes.
We know that. Alcorn State still has to play Jackson State, and that's going to be a divisional. But it's just I want to put this here, man, because this is jarring. Typically we're either 1 or 2. competing for that, but I ideally want. But look where we are right now.
Yes.
Because we have undisciplined coaches. I'm not even putting this on the team members, on the team, on the players. This is solely on the coaches. Undisciplined coaches who don't know how to control themselves 2 days after a game in a press conference, who feel the need to call out SWAC officials, offensive and defensive coordinators who, for whatever reason, just simply are just looking as if they're just, let's just try this to see if it works. And it's not working.
It's not working.
I'm gonna say this, man. I've seen enough, and I'm not one of those who feels the need to always knee jerk and saying, we got. But I will say this without question, Mickey Joseph. It without question, you're gonna have to make some changes in the offseason. This staff cannot come back as is. It cannot come back as is.
No.
If there is a problem with somewhere on the coaching staff, as the head coach, you have to address it.
Yes.
And if for whatever reason you feel the need, we need to go with the same staff, then you know what? It may be that you are the problem.
Correct. It's insanity.
I'm not trying to be judged.
It would be insanity.
I'm not trying to be judgmental. And I would love, someone said we need to have him come. I would love for him to come on. But I get it. With his schedule being what it is, may not happen until after the season. Quite frankly, I don't know if I want to interview him during the week at this point. I want him to focus on the rest of the season.
Yes.
But we'll get him on, I'm sure. Like I said, we're talking, this podcast isn't just about Grambling athletics. I told you this is all things Grambling. And as we grow, now that we're on the subject, man, you guys, take the time, and this doesn't cost you anything, go to the channel, YouTube channel, share, like, and subscribe to the channel. You guys see, your donations are more than welcome. Go to the 1901podcast.com, subscribe to the newsletter that we'll be sending out, make a donation, and help, and let's grow this, man. Because I think that this is a project that has been needed for a long time. And given where we are right now with media being what it is, and the impact that it can certainly have, I thought this was something that was necessary. And do know to the coaches, this isn't anything personal.
No.
But nobody's here. Nobody's talking about your mama, and nobody's talking about your family. We're just talking about your jobs. But look, we love the school. And so we don't go in the weeds here, but we're just being critical on what we see, and what we're seeing right now is not good. It isn't. So, Griff, final thoughts.
Well, we're going into a new week against a new opponent. I hope to see it. If nothing at all, I would love to see our effort be different. I would love to see our coaches come up with maybe put some new wrinkles into their scheme. And I would like to see our kids just play a disciplined brand of football. And, it's always our hope that Grambling can be competitive and, look a certain way, proficient on offense, proficient on defense, and maybe special teams, be proficient on special teams. I still have high hopes. I still hope that this staff can right the ship. A win this weekend would be a big step in the right direction, but we're going to have to play well in order to win. This is a winnable game. I do not believe that we're going to, just that Alabama State is just gonna come in and dominate us for 4 quarters. But
Well,
I,
I'm gonna say this, Griff, not to cut you off, but I'm not. Okay. Given what we just said it earlier, given what we've seen of this team, the next 3 games, the last, I mean, yeah, in theory, they're all winnable. But I'm gonna tell you now, this Alabama State team is pretty strong
they are,
defensively.
they are, they are, and
And
they are committed
they've
to
got
the
a
run.
quarterback who was converted from wide receiver because they're starting to coordinate. Andrew Body, went down early in the year,
Yes,
and they had another injury. And they are now playing a quarterback who is actually improving week to week, who was actually a former wide receiver.
right.
Alabama State, first and foremost, has always been known for its defense. And that can
Yes,
be problematic given how putrid we are offensively right now. So that's not it's winnable, yes. Or should I say it's doable, but it's going to require some coaching to get it done. We got the talent to do it.
I agree.
But this team, look, man, they say that a team, a group is the reflection of its leaders. But look, man, I'm telling you now, if there was ever a time when it can be argued, you always, this team sucks, we have no talent on this team. You cannot say this about this team. We've seen the bright spots with some of the players on this team. This is all coaching. So give the coaches credit for being able to recognize the talent to bring it in. We've got a lot of players, with the transfer portal being what it is, I think 85% is what Mickey Joseph said this team was, but okay, that's fine. So you give them credit for at least being able to recognize the talent to bring them in. This team is not void of talent, but it is void of coaching. It is void of discipline coaching. It shows. We see it. There's no denying that. Let me just look at some of these. I'm want to look at some of these the comments. Paul Taylor, how you doing, brother? He said this is absolutely pathetic. This is the worst loss. This loss is worse than Coach Rob's last year against Jackson State at home, 0-52. You know what, Paul? I guess that's a fair point. Was it 0-50, 52-0? Okay, I'll say this: the difference between that loss and this loss was respect. Well, and I would just put it like this: given what Coach Robinson had done up to that point, Coach Robinson had earned the right to have a bad loss or two. Believe me. Nobody. I mean, I get your point. Yeah, it was bad, but at that point, Coach Robinson had earned the right to have as many losing seasons as he wanted to. He went, I think, 3-8, 3 straight years in a row. Coach Robinson earned the right to do whatever. If he lost 52-0, but you know what? He earned that right, given the beat downs, the generations, the decades of beat downs that he had put on teams prior to that point. Mickey Joseph can't play that card. Mickey Joseph can't justify losing a 14-point lead to a team that had only won a game against a team that hadn't won at all so far this year. Zatori's Productions, I would reach out to Sam Washington for defensive coordinator. You know what? It may not be a bad idea. Sam Washington was the defensive coordinator under the great Ron Broadway. I don't know. I'm just saying, but I understand it. And the season isn't over yet, but I get it. Let me see. Johnny Johnson, Mickey Joseph is headstrong. Dooley is headstrong. Rollin is who he is. That's the formula for failure. There's an element to truth to that. I don't know enough. I don't know Mickey Joseph at all. I don't know his personality at all. But look, I've heard enough about Eric Dooley and him being headstrong. Johnny, you that is a great comment, because it's been said quite a bit about Dooley and him being headstrong. Okay. Let me see. Jeremy Brackens. Let's get some of this OL fundamental sound from West Monroe High and Washita High and West Monroe. Appreciate your support. Man. So look, we're going to wrap this up and Griff, I'm not going to interrupt you this time. You said, but based upon anything that we've read up to this point, any comments you want to say?
I just feel like, man, now is the time to figure out what they got. Now, if they got any great ideas offensively, now is the time to implement them.
Yeah.
If coach wants to evaluate talent and see what he has, now is the time to do it. And because I can guarantee you, next year the expectation is going to be far greater than what it is. Everybody's, sometimes you have people that say, oh, well, it's just year one. I guarantee you he needs to do something next year. And he needs to make the adjustment.
I know that's right.
Go ahead.
Because no, I was just going to say, because Lord knows we got an athletic director in Travion Scott who has shown he ain't got no problem pulling the damn trigger.
Nope.
He didn't let Broderick Fobbs finish the season out with the Bayou Classic. He got rid of Hugh Jackson after 2 years. Damn it. If next year goes the way this year went, I'm pretty damn certain he's going to find a way to come up the money. He will pull the trigger after. I almost kind of appreciate it. Now granted, I didn't lose sleep over it because I was like, oh man, we didn't have to get rid of Hugh. Now, I get the frustrations with you, and don't get me wrong, I don't feel bad about him leaving. But all I would just say is, to your point, Travion Scott has shown that he ain't got no problem pulling the trigger on firing a football coach after 2 years.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
And Grambling Knights, we have high expectations for our football program. When you come in, that's just the way it is, no matter who they bring in. They brought Al Bundy in. They want Al Bundy to win in year one or show some improvement in year one, and then we expect for him to be in the hunt the next year. So, that's what comes with following a legend like Eddie Robinson. They want to see Grambling football get back to a standard, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I just hope that these guys are ready to do what it takes and get this program going. We've got to get it going. Period.
Grambling plays Alabama State, final home game of the year. Senior day, I guess that's senior day, pretty much probably senior day. It will be nice to win the last home game of the year. Before we finish the next two seasons, the next two games on the road, or in the case of New Orleans. But he's Thomas Griffin. I'm Ken Rashad. Guys, thank you so much for taking this last hour to support, and we support your viewership of the 1901 podcast. Like I said, go to the 1901podcast.com to make a donation and to subscribe to our newsletter. We ask that you do take the time to share this, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let's continue to grow this thing. Okay. So until next time, go Tigers, and God bless you. We'll see you.